Hello, everybody. Ready to rock. How are we all tonight? Hope everyone is loving life, loving lockdown life. I know it's a pain in the ass for all you Sydney folk and basically New South Wales people. It's definitely a shit show of a time at the moment. Alrighty, guys, but thanks for jumping on tonight. I'm just going to let it build up for a little bit. Feel free to say hi if you are on, just so I can see you're watching. I'm just going to take you through tonight a strategy we did with a client where we paid their mortgage off in 8 years, which is very exciting to see. This has just been done. We've just finished this one off. So we're quite excited to share this one with you. I wanted to do this last week, but I just wanted to get the final numbers this week. But yeah, quite excited. Hey, Ingrid, how you going? Alrighty, guys. So what I'm going to do is I will, like normal, I'm just going to share my screen. I would like to just break down for you what it's all about, what the circumstances were, what we put in place. Hey, Ben, how are you, mate? So what I'm going to do here, guys, is I'm just going to share my screen and we're right to go. So that's what we're doing tonight, mortgage free. Like usual, guys, I've got this boring disclaimer. Hey, Jess. Hey, Steve. How are you? We've got this boring disclaimer, just so you know this doesn't suit everyone's individual circumstances. We've got to build your own strategy to make it work for you directly. But that's what I do for people. I basically build strategies. So what I'm going to show you tonight is an existing customer I've had for about 9 years. It's probably just over 8 years, actually. These guys, when I first met them, so this is an example of what they were at when I met them. All right. So with these guys, Scott and Jody, they were 35 and 38. Scott was a full-time miner on 180,000 a year, and Jody is a part-time teacher on 75,000 a year. Now, at that point, they owed $520,000. So for most people, that's a decent mortgage. Like even if you're in Sydney or Brisbane in the capital cities, $520,000 for a mortgage is a decent mortgage. I wouldn't say it's mortgage stress when you're on that income, but it's a mortgage you don't want to see. So they had 520, and also, of course, their accountant advised them they are paying way too much income tax. So we had to work on a strategy for that as well. Scott and Jody were reasonably happy with their financial situation because the home was worth about 900. They had a couple of kids as well, but they wanting to focus on paying them the home loan. So, sorry, and again, before Jody turns 50. So with these guys, they had young kids. So even though they were on big money, they didn't have a lot of surplus funds because they had a few other things happening. So for them, the mortgage was just the main thing. So retirement wasn't a big thing for those. So they just wanted to basically get on top of their mortgage and then like do a two-stage process. That's what I call a two-stage process. Stage one is getting on top of your mortgage, and stage two is retirement or income replacement per day. That's the way we normally do it. So with these guys, I was able to do this for them. Admittedly, 8 years did help us with the recent COVID tax. That did help us as well. But why not take it? You've got to be in the market to make it happen, guys. That's what I always say to people. If you're not in the market, if you're sitting on the sidelines, waiting, you will 100%, hey, Michelle, you will 100% miss the market almost every single time. You might be in the market 5 years before you get the return you're after. But if you wait 5 years, you will miss the market because by the time you know the market's going crazy, you're not even in it yet and you're going to miss out. All righty. So first things, let's just break it down a little bit for you guys. So I'm just going to change my camera to my other camera. So I like my little drawings. I hope that's okay with you guys. If it's not, nothing I can do about it. Sorry. All right. So let me just get this notepad right. All right. So the first thing we did now, for those of you familiar with us, with the Property Bloke, we focus on this thing called a steadfast method. So what we did with these guys is we went out and obviously they got their home loan in place, but they had a really good borrowing capacity. So what that means is the bank would lend them enough money to do basically anything they wanted to do. So what we did was in year one, we set this up, basically put two properties side by side. This is our growth property, which of course in their scenario was a house and land. And this was a dual key property or dual income, whatever you want to call it. And this is for cash flow, right? Now, with these guys, what we did was where we purchased these properties, we purchased a growth property on the central coast of New South Wales. And we also purchased the dual key in the Hunter Valley of New South Wales as well. If you guys don't know where that is, sorry, this is year one. Sorry for my scribble. All right, that's year one. That's what we did. Now, we went out there and we paid $380,000, which sounds ridiculously cheap now, but that's what we did. And the dual key was $590,000. Now, this is eight and a half years ago, guys. This is basically going back a fair time. Now, that was year one. That's what we set up and put in place. Now, year two, this is what we call the steadfast method. What does steadfast mean? It basically means safe and controlled. So the dual key was cash flow and was paying for the shortfall that this house and land had in place. Because back then, interest rates were a little bit different too. All right, guys, they weren't as low as what they are now. So what we're able to do is both of these, realistically, they looked after themselves. Okay, if anything, there was a bit more income from the dual key over the house and land, but I'm not going to get into those nitty gritty points for this one. Now, year two, we went out again and we bought another house and land. That's what we call that growth property. And we bought another dual key. Sorry for my dodgy houses here. Another dual key for cash flow. All right. Now, this first one here was in Newcastle. It was actually in West Newcastle, New South Wales. I'm not going to go to actual physical suburbs because I don't want you guys thinking that's the best place to buy now, where realistically I wouldn't buy in some of these suburbs these clients did buy in because the timing's not right now. And then North Brisbane for the dual key. Now, why did they go to North Brisbane? First question is, why not? Why do you have to buy close to where you live? These guys lived in the Hunter Valley. Now, you don't have to buy around the corner, guys. You can buy anywhere where the market's going to work for you, where you got the growth happening. That's what I do with people. So this was year two. It was year two and a bit. It was actually to get that in place. Same thing again, the steadfast method. These two properties looking after each other. Oops, better put the prices in there. $445 for this one. And what did we pay for the other one? I forget now. That's right. It was cheaper. It was $520,000 because it was in the Queensland market. Alrighty. So that's what we did, guys. So we put these in place over a 2-year period. That's what we did. And then we just sat, to a certain degree, sat and waited. So with these guys, what we did is we looked at their home loan from that point forward. So their main focus, right, was their home loan. So their home loan was set up. It was $520,000. Paid over, it was actually had 27 years left to go, which is a fair chunk of time. And what we're able to do in their scenario was, obviously 27 years, they were paying around $3,000 a month was the minimum repayment. As rates went down, as interest rates went down, they kept their payment at $3,000 a month. That's a very important thing they did correct, because what that enabled them to do at 8 years, so in June 2021, we were here, 8 years. But they'd actually paid down their mortgage to only $415,000 by doing the right thing with their money. They definitely weren't eating bread and dripping every night. These were living a good lifestyle. I set this portfolio up. This strategy I put together for these guys was to not affect their lifestyle, okay? So in 8 years' time, their mortgage was $415,000. This is the biggest thing here, right? Now, if you remember, with our clients, I do everything for them. Well, pretty much 90% of everything. We design a portfolio over time that's exactly what you need as a customer, not what everyone else needs. It's very important you design a portfolio to what you need so that you can get your benefits that you need to get out of that. Now, how did we pay the mortgage out? So as you can see, their mortgage was $415,000. Then what we're able to do, the new value of these properties now is, I'm not going to worry about the price of the dual keys because they've still got them. So $705,000, that's the new value for that house and land. And this house and land was $745,000. All right. Now, what we did was we basically, simple, we sold these ones off. We got rid of these two house and lands. Okay. That's exactly what we did. Now, what we had left over after this sale here, we had, what do we have? We had to take off $85,000 for capital gains tax and selling fees, but we were left with here $240,000. And on this one over here, we were left with almost the same, it was off memory. Yeah, $230,000, right? Now that's how much profit they had at the end once they sold their properties off, right? But second to that, they still own these dual key properties. They still had income coming off these properties. We're leaving them. We never touched them. They've still got them. We've left them in place because that's part of cash flow. Once you own your home, it's all about cash flow from that point to retirement, right? So what we did was simple, 230 to 240. So with the home loan, actually it might be on the other page. Might be easier. Over here. So we had with this one here, we had $415,000. We paid $470,000. And of course, that left us with $55,000 cash left over. This is what they've got in the bank, obviously with a couple of dollars and cents different today. This is what these guys have in the bank today after selling off their 2 house and lands, okay? That is so important to me. So instead of obviously 7 to 10 years was the ultimate goal, but what we're able to do here was pay the home off in 8 years' time. But like I said, you have to be in the market to win. So these guys stayed in the market, they put 2 properties in place, and we set that, and we were not going to change. So this, sorry for going back and forth, guys, but this portfolio we put in place here, this one and this one, we set and forget that. So 2 years, 2+ years, and then 6 years, we just held it. Right? 6 years, they just held it and was patient. And I always said to these guys, do not sell any of this, do not change any of this until we have enough equity to remove your home loan. Now, luckily, we were almost there prior to COVID. During COVID tax, of course, prices have just gone a bit crazy in some suburbs, and we're able to cash out and set all this up in place. Now, we didn't sell both these properties in the same financial year too, guys. This was last financial year, and this was the current financial year. Why did we do that? Well, why we did that was their accountant, which of course I told them to check with their accountant. I really wanted them to check their accountant and say, how did it, because you have to, there's a selling strategy, everyone. There's a selling strategy. If you don't have a sales strategy, sorry, I was going to change my camera back. Here we go. All right, here we go. Now, if you don't have a sales strategy, it's just like a buying strategy. You can go all wrong, spend money you don't want to spend. So we check with their accountant, and with capital gains tax is calculated from exchange of contracts, not from when you get the money, from when the contract is signed, when you're selling the property, all right? And also calculated if it's over a short period from when you buy the property. Now, with capital gains tax, we didn't want it to all be paid in 1 year. So what we did was sold one last financial year, and we didn't let the second contract exchange until July this year. And basically, capital gains tax for this year's purchase doesn't have to be paid until May 2023, which is absolutely fantastic. And that's the outcome I'll try to achieve for every single person. So what they wanted was 7 to 10 years. We're able to do it in 8. Now, the next part of that strategy, which is now replacing income. So now what we're going to do, and I don't mean to go crazy here, but I get a bit excited. So these guys here, I was going to change the camera again. Now, this is the second part. Now, I have not met with these guys about this. We're just letting the dust settle with the first bit and probably go next month. So if you've got 5 days in a week, right? See if I can stuff this up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Fine. And you were earning 300 per day, right? With these guys, what we've got to work out is how much per day these guys have to replace. So at the moment, these guys have 2 dual key properties, right? And I'll just double check. I've got those numbers there. Here we go. So one was 18,000 and one's 22,000. So between these guys, they have around $40,000 of income coming in. That's how much income they got coming in now. But they also, which is even more exciting, they were paying $3,000 per month on their mortgage. All right, that's gone now as well. So not only have they got this free income coming in here now, consistent 40,000, they don't have that $3,000 mortgage. Now, obviously they're earning more than 300 per day, but when you're working out income replacement, I don't look at it from a big picture of I've got to replace 180,000 or 100,000 or whatever it might be. I work on day by day. So this was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. I'll just go, okay, Steve and Jody, what we've got to do is we've just got to slowly replace day by day. That's what we have to do, okay? That should be your main objective. Try not to look at your financial position and go, okay, I need to do this all today. That's not the case. You got to do it in small steps. It's like any goal setting person. I'm a massive goal setter. Any goal setting, any good teacher, whether they're teaching you for entrepreneurial sort of business or whether they're teaching you, they don't really teach you this stuff at school, which is disappointing. But if you've got one big goal up here, what's important is you set all your little goals to reach that one big goal. So what I do is I sit down and go, I want to get to this. I want to achieve this big goal, but what do I have to do to get that? So I'm a massive one with the law of attraction. I believe if you do think positive and feel positive, it should all come into fruition for you. Obviously not sitting on your ass. You've got to make it happen. But if you can set your mindset to have small goals, similar to this income replacement strategy here I was just chatting to you about, very important to just celebrate the small wins and set small goals. That'll all come together so much easier for you guys. All righty. Does anyone have any questions tonight? Everyone's in lockdown in New South Wales, bored as shit, getting frustrated with the kids, the wife, the husband. Does anyone have any questions tonight? Feel free to pump them in there into the comment section. Feel free, I'll just wait a little bit before I head off for tonight, but I'm keen to answer any questions if you have any. But I just wanted to show you there of how you become mortgage free, how we did it with one of our clients just recently. And it's not rocket science, guys. It's definitely not rocket science. Okay, Jess has whacked into the comments a link. So in that link, that's a link directly to my calendar. You get a free 15-minute call if you wanted to chat about your own scenario. Basically, what I do here at The Property Bloke, I design a portfolio to get you from one property to wherever you need to be, whether it's retirement, whether it's income replacement for some people, like for one of the household, whether it's mortgage reduction, whatever it might be. That's what we designed it for. And I do 90% of the work for you as well. I do as much of the work as I possibly can when sourcing the properties and also basically putting everything together for you. I'm your actual person. The last couple of weeks have been a bit tough for people because we've been a little bit hard to get a hold of. But yeah, it's just this lockdown dramas has made my time a little bit more short. All righty, guys, no questions. You're a bit quiet. Oh, good. But all right, we've got Reese Thompson. Say, hey, Reese. Got a few friends in there. Okay. Nathan Kerr. Assuming there are still loans in the dual keys that need to be paid off, so the 40K income would be actually, hang on, repay these loans. No, mate, that's 40,000 income after the loans. So these guys have interest only on those loans. So say, for example, once you've paid all your expenses, once you've paid your interest, that's $40,000 of income in your bank. That's why the dual income properties are so important to have as part of your portfolio. They offset any cost that might not come around. But yeah, don't feel as if that income, then they've got to take repayments out of that. That's not fact at all. It's actually $40,000 after their repayments have already been done. No worries, Nathan, anytime, mate. Good to get a question. I love it. Love questions. Give me some hard ones. All righty, guys. Well, I'm going to leave you tonight. I really appreciate you watching tonight. Feel free to click that link, send us a message, give us a call. If you have any questions, you should be in the market. Even this market we're seeing today, there's definitely more great opportunity out there. You just got to be careful, and you can definitely make good money in this market, even though some people are saying it's a bit pricey. But you just got to go to a different suburb, different region. Where there's a pricey suburb, there's one next to it that's not so pricey. All righty, guys. Thanks again. I'm Wayne Jessup, The Property Bloke. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me anytime. Have a good one.